Good evening, Flosstube. Long time no see. I've missed you. It's your girl Lori, also known as Sharky Stitcher on this channel and on Instagram. We talk about cross stitching on this channel. Sometimes we do a little bit of lifey updates, which we probably will tonight because it's been a minute since I've seen y'all, so we need to catch up a little bit. But sorry for the absence. I've been busy. I have been stitching. I do have some progress to show you and some plans and things like that. I haven't gotten to do as much stitching as I would like, but I've been busy and things have been going on, and I'll get into that with the life update. But for tonight, I think I'll go over my kind of spooky season plans, which I do have some of those. I've got some progress on some queenies that I will show you. And I've got some new fabric from BeStitchMe, which I don't think I have shared the fabric I've gotten from BeStitchMe. Like when I did my fabric tour video, I don't think I had any of their stuff yet, but I am really liking their stuff. I'm a fan, so I'm going to show you a couple of the pieces I got. I did get a couple pieces from their Friday Night Fight Nights, which if you don't know, BeStitchMe has a Facebook group, and I don't understand it. Don't ask me to fully explain the rules, but basically they post a lot of like solo fabrics, and whoever claims it first gets it. That's why they call it Friday Night Fight Night, because you're like fighting over the fabric. I got two pieces from them before, and I've got them squirreled away somewhere. I just can't remember where they're at, but you'll see them eventually. But I do have two pieces in particular that I'm going to be showing you guys tonight. I'm really excited about them. So anyways, I think we'll do the life update first, just to get that out of the way. I won't spend too much time doing that if you're just here for stitchy content. Apologies. But anyways, life update. Still got my braces. I would say that's going well, but something kind of weird happened in the last couple weeks. I was getting ready to film a video, and then this thing happened, and you'll see why I decided not to film a video. But anyways, I went and I got an adjustment. Went pretty good. Normal adjustment. The next day, usually pain in the teeth kicks in after an adjustment, but I had one spot that was giving me trouble. But long story short, a few days after that, I'm in urgent care with my face swelling, and they diagnosed me with cellulitis. And their theory is that when I got my wire changed, that I was scratched somehow, and that's how I got the cellulitis. It wasn't that big a deal other than I had some puffiness through here. Cellulitis is nothing to joke around with, especially when it's so close to your brain, you know, but, and I was kind of befuzzled a little bit because I'm like, I don't think I got scratched. And they're like, oh, it could have just been a little one and you didn't even notice it. And I've worked in the healthcare industry. I know when you go to urgent care, they, as quickly as possible, want to find what's on the other end of the equal sign and send you on your way. And, oh, you just got your braces adjusted a few days ago. Oh, surely you must have gotten scratched. I'm not sure, but I also don't have a better explanation either. I actually had gone in because when that one tooth had started acting up, I used some Oragel, thinking, you know, like what they use at the dentist when they numb you before you get a filling. So I thought, oh, I'll just get some Oragel. It's just one tooth bugging me, so I'll stick it up here. And I stuck it up in my cheek, and that's when things really started kicking off for me. And so I thought I was having an allergic reaction to the Oragel. But I have a couple clients that are doctors, and I've talked to them about some things, and they're like, what you're explaining was an infection, not an allergic reaction. So yeah, you probably got scratched at your orthodontist appointment. I still have not called them and updated them on that. I don't know if I should, really, because it's not like I'm pointing the finger, oh, you guys did this, you know, make sure you wash your hands, you know. I mean, they wear gloves, but they're not sterile. You know, I don't know. There's so many things that could have gone into it. But anyways, I was getting ready to film a video, and then I've got a weird swollen face. Like, you could see it, like, when I would smile. This wasn't there on this side. My, what's that called? Nasolabial fold, I believe is the term. That wasn't existent on this side. And I have dimples on both cheeks, and the dimple on this side was gone. So you can only really notice it when I talked and moved my face. It wasn't like red. I mean, it was red on the inside, actually, which is another reason they came up with cellulitis, because there was redness there. Classic cellulitis is when you see like a red line following a vein. So if you see any of that, get your ass into the doctor, the ER, the urgent care, whatever. Get yourself on antibiotics, so that stuff is not to be messed with. So that happened. And then let's see here. I have still been doing my pole dancing. Look at my little pole kisses that I got here. I've been having a lot of fun with it actually, and it's been really great for me because I'm a massage therapist, use my arms a lot for my work. I'm also a yoga instructor. I'm not teaching currently, but I'm enjoying being a yoga student right now. Before I want to start teaching again. I'll get into that later. But I've just been enjoying being a student, and I've always done like my yoga pretty regularly. But it kind of occurred to me, yoga and massage are all extension, you know, so I need more flexion. So that's kind of why I decided to take pole dancing, aerial silks, stuff that involves climbing, you know, so I get more flexion. That way I'm doing the opposite of what I'm doing at work. So the pole dancing though has been fun because it's such a fun challenge. I've never tried pole dancing before. It's outside my wheelhouse. And I had forgotten, you know, taking yoga all the time, yoga had become easy and like not challenging. Not to say that, oh, I'm an expert and I'm, you know, I win at yoga. Like I could have made it more challenging depending on which classes I went to. But I had forgotten that thrill of learning something new, and not just like, oh, new to yoga, more new, like completely different movement wise. And I was missing that. So, and it kind of got me back into like taking tons of fitness classes. Like I am a fitness junkie right now because one of the areas where I suck at the most fitness wise is cardio. So I started taking a trampoline class. That's been so much fun. I guess I call them a rebounder too. And I'm going to be buying myself one because I can just do that for 10-15 minutes a day and get my cardio done. Yay, cool. You know, so all of that's been fun. But that's also led me to wanting to get back into teaching yoga. I've also wanted to get back into teaching belly dance. Like that itch has been, you know, rekindled. So I'm thinking I might start a second channel at some point and do like fitness classes like yoga, some belly dancing, things like that, you know, branch off a little bit. So that's in the works, but definitely still the planning phases. If any of you are interested in that channel, if I start it, I of course will share it on here, but that's not going to be for a little bit, just because one of the other things going on in my life update is today is September 10th. October 10th, I believe, I'm flying to Texas and I'm getting some tattoo work. And it's a big tattoo. It's going to go here. I've been on the waiting list for 2 years. It's kind of a big deal. I've been saving my arms for the most part for very special things because I live in tank tops. So if it's going on me, I better like it. It's a shark. Shocker. It's not my first shark tattoo. You know, I've got 2 shark's teeth right here. That's just a random tooth. This one's a tiger shark tooth. You can't really tell because there you go. It's a tiger shark tooth. And then I've got one on my ribs. That's a shark. And yeah. So this will kind of be my 4th shark tattoo, I guess you'd say. I just can't get enough of them. But I've been saving this spot, you know, for that. And I finally found the right artist, and he's in Austin, Texas. He's amazing. He does outstanding hyper realism is the style. So that's going on in October. So I've been putting kind of all my energy into that, you know, because I've been working a lot because it's, you know, it's expensive, you know, and I mean, I've got all the money saved for it and I've had it for a while, but still like I have to buy me a plane ticket and I might have to rent a car or pay for taxis or whatever, pay for the hotel, all that stuff. Also, I might have to get it in 2 sessions. So I might have to go back in November to finish it. So yeah, I might have to buy 2 plane tickets. So saving for that, and also still paying for the mouth. So I've been working a lot for all that. So just a little quick explanation for why you guys haven't seen me for a little bit. All that stuff has been going on. I have still been stitching in the intermediary. But let's see, last thing before we get into stitching. You see this guy here? This is my black orchid, and she's in bloom just in time for spooky season. Excuse me, puppy dog. She's sleeping on the floor right here. So this is in case I haven't mentioned it to you guys, I like orchids. I like tropical plants in general, but this is a catasetum type, and her name, she has the coolest name. She is the Manirara Millennium Magic Witchcraft. And she's in bloom, and she's black and wicked, just like my heart and my soul. Oh, I love it. Now, most black flowers, let me see. Okay, yeah, like most black flowers are not true black. It's actually a very dark purple. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. So it's actually a dark purple for the most part, but it's basically black, you know. It does not have a fragrance that I've been able to detect, which is funny because usually catasetum types, they smell kind of herbal, like rosemary or eucalyptus, kind of medicinal. These orchids are super cool because they have these big bulbs, basically, and there's actually two in here. There's a little one right there. But they put out these big, huge bulbs, and these guys are thirsty. Like their substrate is sphagnum moss, so huge humidity factor, loves to be just drenched, and it sucks it all up. And these bulbs, once it's done flowering, and as you can see, the leaves have already started yellowing. It happened ever since she started blooming, because blooming takes a lot of energy from a plant, so they start, you know, cutting off other things. This will, once it drops the bloom spike and all of its leaves, it will basically desiccate and wither, and the roots will all die, and it will look dead. It will look like a piece of ginger that you've left out for too long. It will wither, it will look dead. You can actually take all the substrate out, cut all the dead roots off, and leave it sitting on a shelf. They say, I think, to put it in a box, like somewhere cool and dark while it's hibernating or going dormant, shall they say. And then next year, it will start producing a new bulb, new little growth. You'll see these little leaves sticking out, and then it'll start putting out new roots. And the rule of thumb with these types is once it has 10 inches of root, as in like total, like if it's got 5 roots that are 2 inches long, that's when you can repot it. And it will totally regrow and start the cycle over again. So they're interesting orchids. I have had some in the past and didn't have much luck with it, so I was crossing my fingers when I bought this one, praying that I would get some black flowers, and I've got black flowers. So I'm really excited about that. So I thought I'd share that with you. I know it's not cross stitch related, but it's fun, you know? So here she be. And I think those blooms will last for 2 weeks, maybe. I almost want to say a month. Some orchids will last for a long time, others not. I think 2 to 4 weeks is the most I can hope to get out of them. So I wanted to show them to you while they're still glorious and gothic. So, but yeah, there's that. And so then let's get into the stitching, which y'all were waiting for. Thanks for bearing with. Okay, so let's see. The first thing I'm going to get into, the thing I'm most excited about. And this is the thing I want to start, new start. And let me just give you guys a little preview of it. I know I've talked about it in previous videos. But this is a chatelaine design. This is the Halloween kitty design. Very spooky season appropriate. It's a smaller of her mandalas, in that when I look at the chart, I'm like, that's not too hard or complicated, and it's not as big. It's 255 by 255 stitches. So like most of hers are like 320, 350 or something like that. I think the Rainforest quilt is flirting with 400 by 400. But here's the kit. I had received this. I showed it to you guys when I got it. Here's the silks. I don't have the floss yet. I am going shopping for it soon. Here's the beads. Not a ton of beads. I'll probably add some. No worries. And then I had a thought in my head when I got this piece ordered from BeStitchMe. This is technically a custom piece, but it's similar to, oh gosh, I don't know what the name of it is, but they have one on their website that's a regular color that's very similar to. And it was what I was picturing for this design. So let me show it to you. Let me find a really good spot to show you. And this piece is big enough, so this is getting used. It's not like I have to order more and hope that the colors stay good. Let me keep it folded in half. So, dun, 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 dun. Look at that, isn't it fun? I think I'm going to pick a piece that's got more purple than it, or pick a part that has more purple, because I don't need this entire thing. And I was looking at it, and I can't remember that I had picked a spot where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to trim around that. But let me show you the flossy tossy, because yes, there is some green in this, and there's some green in here. But I still think it'll be okay. Like, I think the oranges are going to pop. The blacks will still show up. The greens will be good. So it's not a proper floss sauce, but it never is in these videos. I'll just have to do something on Instagram. Here's the beads. I know you can't see that too well, but I'm excited. And of course it's opalescent. Everything has to be opalescent nowadays. But yeah, I'm really liking it. And I love the textures in their fabrics. Like all this organic modeling. I love it. But yeah, I think that's going to be really cool, and it's perfect for spooky season. I'm excited. And I'm so excited too, because usually when I'm shopping for fabric for chatelaines, I'm usually ordering a piece of fabric and going, no, that's not right. Ordering another piece, no, that's not right. So to finally get a piece and like, yeah, cool, we're good. That feels good. I should be less picky. That would help, but okay. So that's what I'm most excited to start. I'm gonna probably start it this month sometime. That's the plan. At least I do need to pick up the floss. I'm not gonna let myself pick out the floss and be like, the greens are too close. I need to get another piece of fabric. Not allowing it. Putting my foot down. No. Stitching it on this piece. Get over it. I can outline it in black if I need to. Okay, so the next piece, I am not starting this right away, but I'm just showing you, like, I got some kits and stuff, so it's more haul than something I'm starting. So this is for the Autumn Lane Stitchery Dark Queen of the Forest, who is complementary to Dark Queen of the Sea, who I stalled on a little bit because I'm very indecisive about some things. But I got my fabric and my bead pack, and for some reason I didn't order the metallics. I don't know why, so I need to get those ordered. But I'm not starting it right away, so I'm not too worried. But I got my fabric and my beads from Under the Sea Fabrics. And the beads are actually really cool, because some of them are actual, like, gemstones, or minerals, shall you say. I mean, they're not crystals, but they're like actual stones. So I went with the, what's it called? With the green one, because she gave 2 color options. You could do a brown or a green. This one's called Nightshade. So this is it. It's like greens and browns. Here's the floss. I'm missing one color. Very earthy, appropriately. I got mine in opalescent, of course. And this is 28 count linen. I always go for 28 count just to accommodate for beads. But I don't know, I might start doing 32 count more, because I've been stitching a lot of beads on 32 counts and it's been fine so far. But, and also, I don't think this piece is especially heavy beaded compared to some of the other projects I've worked on. But all right, let's dig out some of these beads. There's a good shot of some of them. Not too keen on these neon ones. We'll see where they go. I'm okay with changing things if I don't like them. I feel like I'm still talking with a lisp. It might be more obvious to me than it is to you guys. I'm trying not to think about it, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah, come on, everybody out. Alright, so here's these delicas. Yeah, they're delicas. Oop. So there's what we got there. I don't know where those yellow ones are going. Maybe there's some flowers in it or something. Puppy. But then these are cool. These are Snowflake Jasper. So that's kind of cool. These are Picture Jasper. which I have a crystal collection, and I do like some of the fun jasper varieties. This, there's some big beads here. These are glass, I'm pretty sure. But this one, let me take another look at it. This to me looks like a piece of rainforest jasper, and I love that stuff. But it's pretty cool looking. I'm assuming she's got a necklace that this goes on. Why else would there just be one big chunk of this unless she's got like a scepter or something? We don't know what she fully looks like yet, which that's kind of the fun part of the stitch along is, you know, you get a piece at a time, so you never see the full thing until it's done. But knowing what the Dark Queen of the Sea looks like, you can imagine she's going to have kind of a similar orientation a bit. Looks like she's got some wicked vines going around her, kind of like the magic ink swirl that the Dark Queen of the Sea has. Gosh, I'm so bad. Whenever I put this stuff back in the bag that I got it in, I always make such a mess. Right, because I'm impatient and I'm just stuffing things in. Though, to be fair, when I put the chatelaine kits back together from European Cross Stitch, even if I take a mental picture, okay, this was how it was laid out, try to put it back that way, I still can't do it, so. But yeah, that's more haul. I'm not joining that stitch along right away. Partially because I don't have a lot of work done on Dark Queen of the Sea. And if I'm going to finish one of those, I'd rather finish the sea first because that's my jam. But I also like to kind of sit on the bench or up in the tree, whatever you want to call, and see where, like, because there's always some changes, you know, like, or options. And I kind of like sitting back and watching how it plays out because I like making my own changes. So I kind of like seeing where it's going. That way I can make those changes ahead of time. So, if that's a thing. This one counts as haul. So, I joined the Witchy Stitcher. So, Witchy Stitcher, most people are familiar with her on Instagram, but she has her own website. And if you don't know Etsy, where most people know her, Etsy takes a fair cut of designers' profits. So, it benefits the designers more if you go to their own pages and buy from there. So that's what I opted to do. But she also has a Patreon. And on this Patreon, she puts out kind of special designs. So she had done that. And there's one that she put out and I was like, I want that. So I joined her Patreon. I think I joined the $6 a month option, which there's like, I guess, a monthly design. Once you join it, you have access to the previous month and the current month, and then it cuts off because otherwise people would join for $6, download everything, and then bounce. So you join and you can get the ones that come out. But I really like this one, and this is the Frosted Pumpkin Cottage. I thought that was so cool. That, and I love the Witchy Stitcher because her designs are fairly simple but effective for the most part. And she has some fun stitch-alongs. Like right now, the supernatural stitch-alongs going on where they have like mythological creatures. Mythological slash like monsters. Like the one that she's got now, it's got a siren. There's like a zombie, a changeling, a werewolf. And it's so fun watching people post their progress because people change it so much. Like, some people threw in some references to Shaun of the Dead for the zombie, which I'm so totally doing because that's like one of my favorite movies ever. It's like a comedy zombie movie. It like makes fun of zombie movies, but it's so good. I love Simon Pegg. So I'm thinking of joining that one, but at the same time, I'm having fun just sitting back and watching everybody work on it. That, and I don't have enough time to work on the stuff that I want as is, so I should cool it, but yeah, I like her stuff because it's always fairly simple. Like, it's not complicated, but it looks cool, you know, and it's spooky season, so I want to stitch spooky stuff. And I know I've got some fabric that's kind of like a rusty, kind of greeny brown that's kind of like this, so I might just dig that out. And because the floss list, let's see, there's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 colors, you know, like, that's easy enough. I'd probably add some metallics, but you know, I got my own to dip into there for that too. Okay, so next is I got another piece of fabric from BeStitchMe. I got these two at the same time. And this was post one of their Friday night fight nights. And there were two pieces that I was like, oh my God, I love this color, you know. And when I posted on there, she's like, well, I can make you a custom of it. And I was like, oh yeah. So I ordered a half yard of both of them. So this one, I've got a couple ideas for it. Let me just show it to you first. Now, this is one of those pieces of fabric where I can zip it in half and have two kind of different looks. So let me show you the half that I was like, ooh, I love it. So it is, and this is a solo. It doesn't have a color name. Look at it, isn't it pretty? It's rusty browny reds and blues, like indigo blues. It shows up pretty true. Yeah, usually I have a harder time with that. But I have a couple ideas for this. The first thing that flew into my head for this, it's looking very spacey on my screen, and it's screaming more fall afternoon to me. So one of the designs I thought of was this lady. I've been wanting to start her soon for a while, but not like landing on fabric. Well, then I landed on this, and I think this would be great because her dress is kind of a teal and these colors are more turquoise. So I think even though there's a lot of similar complementary colors going on here, I think it will stand out enough because they're different enough. I also have the bead pack for that. So here's what that looks like. And I think it will look just dandy. So I like that. But then, you know, this is only half of it. So here's the other half. Doesn't have as much blue on this side, but still, you know, pretty cool. And I haven't checked the dimensions yet as to if it would be appropriate, but I was thinking maybe Miss Autumn Queen would look cool because this looks very autumny to me. Now, don't have the fat, I don't know, let me see. 11 stitched area is on 32 count, 11.5 by 17 3/4. I think a fat quarter will be enough for that. But I haven't done a floss toss yet, but it's kind of nice to get two pieces of fabric and pretty much have it all used up. Isn't that nice? Because I do have a fair hoard. As you can see, I put some of my fabric over here in this, basically a clothing bag. That's how I'm like keeping it safe nowadays. I love that rainbow piece of fabric too, by the way. But I don't like getting fabric and then having it forever. I do love getting fabrics that like I love and I want to find the perfect project for them, but at the same time I kind of hoard them a little bit, and they need, at the end of the day, they need to get stitched with something, you know. So but I just don't want to stitch it on something and be like, oh, this would have been so perfect for this, you know, because a lot of the fabrics that I like are very one of a kind, so once I stitch something on it, it's gone. So, but yeah, it's so nice though to have bought two pieces of fabric and be like, yep, you're going here, you're going there, done. It's kind of satisfying. Okay, okay. Another project that I'm kind of dying to start, but I don't have the fabric for it yet. And I mean, I considered this for a second, like the more brownie part, but then I was like, eh. And that is Bella Filipina's Cleopatra. She has a lot of silk, she has a lot of metallics, and a decent bit of floss. She's fairly large. There's the floss. Don't know where all those pinks go, because I mean, look at this. I guess they go in her skin, maybe her lips, maybe her cheeks, I don't know, maybe her eyeshadow. But I don't think, when you hold up this floss toss, it's very pink dominant, but I don't think the finished project is pink dominant. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing a floss toss. Sometimes I'll even pull those out of it just to give a better idea of what it's going to be. Here's all the metallics, lots, and I love it. A lot of people hate stitching with Krennic. Doesn't bother me at all. Why are you guys in here loose? Oh, I see. But there's all the beads. There's a bunch. I will probably convert a lot of these to Delica. Yeah, definitely. Because Look at these turquoise ones here. They're so fat and chubby. I know they're going to overlap and crowd the hell out of each other. So I will do delicas because their sides are flat. So they don't crowd as much because they're not being chubby and elbowing each other out of their spaces. So, dying to start it. Just so I'm showing everything. Here's all the silks. Dying to start it. Don't have the fabric yet. And I'm also dying to start it because I've got my my scarab beetle needle minder from Clay by Kim. So since I have him, I'm like, ugh, I need to stitch something Egyptian because he's like staring at me, because I tend to keep my newer needle minders on my project because I like to stare at them and bond with them or whatever. And he looks at me and he's like, why don't you stitch something Egyptian? I'm like, I will as soon as I find the fabric for it. Chill, dude. Have fun with a queen before you're real queen. So, but yeah, and I'm also changing her skin color. I'm going to make her a little darker just because I feel like that would be appropriate. Don't think she was that pale. I mean, she was of Greek heritage, and Egypt's freaking hot. The sun's blazing down, but usually the royals didn't spend a lot of time outside. But I don't know, Cleopatra was a different figure, you know, like she was one of the only pharaohs of the Ptolemies that actually spoke the Egyptian language. You know, most of them spoke Greek, you know, to each other. And then the people of Egypt spoke something else. But she was different. Like, she's a very interesting historical figure, you know. Nothing like what the movies have portrayed her, as far as I know. But I'm going to make her a little darker just because I feel like that would look better. So, let's see what's next. Here's the design. Don't have fabric on it yet, but I have like the picture in my mind of what I want the fabric to look like, and I just haven't landed on it yet. This is Andromeda by Nora Corbet. I have the metallics and the beads. I haven't bought the threads yet. Thinking about changing her hair color. I like her dress. A lot of people have changed the color of the dress, but I like it. I think it looks pretty with the rock and the waves. But I'm thinking I might make her a blonde. Just because almost every Mirabile design is a brunette. And she's kind of an auburny brunette. But I don't know. I think I want to make her blonde. Just to be different. Yeah. So, but I need to find the fabric for her. So I would like to start her. I should start a bunch of other stuff. Like, because I have Fairy Idyll. Need to get her started. Have everything for her. Just need to throw her on the bars and go. But I'm kind of trying to do the old knock a project out and then bring another one in. So I'm trying to do that. I have a couple that I'm pretty close on, and we'll discuss that closer to the end of the video. My goals for the end of this year, because I want to finish some things. So there's that. Let's see here. Oh God, there's one of the moths. Speaking of the moth issue. Oh, I almost got him. Dang it. Speaking of the moth issue, I have a bit of a moth problem because I have a bird and they come out of her feed. You're supposed to freeze the feed and then you don't have moths. Well, I've been doing that and still having moths, and I'm like, WTF? Well, finally the other day, my bird, I have this like little Tupperware container with all of her toys and stuff, because birds chew through toys like crazy, keeps their beaks, you know, keeps them busy. You know, it's important for them. They're like eternal 2-year-old toddlers. So I open her toy container and I see a whole bunch of moths, and I had forgotten I had a bag, like a treat bag of sunflower seeds, and oh my God, that was where the moths were coming from. So I evicted that, and we pretty much went throughout the house, found every kind of possible source for them. I bought these like little glue trap thingies, got most of them, but of course now one's flying around me, probably because he's pissed that I've killed most of his family. But yeah, I'll get him after I'm done filming. But speaking of moths, ironically, my next design, I was so hoping the next time I'd show this to you guys, it would be a finish. It's close, but we're not there yet. So this is, let me move something real quick so you guys can't see it. This is a design by Julie from KansasCityGirl in a Colorado World. She's having an epic adventure in her trailer RV with her boyfriend right now because she's not living in Colorado anymore. It's her story to tell. But it's been really cool because she's posting all these vlogs of all of her travels and stuff like that. But anyways, this is one of her designs from her Hemlock and Rye series. It's called Luna. And it's this skeleton hand with a Luna moth. And I have done mine all in beads, and I changed the bony part to a glow-in-the-dark silk lame braid. So it's sparkly silk that glows in the dark. But I decided to do the moth in all beads, and this is how it's going. I am so close to done. Like, let me just show you a little snippet. This is how close to done I am. Lori, why don't you just finish it? I know. It's because I have to stitch these beads. I have to stitch with it like this because I do this thing where I like to have my beads in a little thing, like a little artist palette. So I have to have this flat because if I lift it up, the beads spill everywhere. And I have to hold it in my hand. So I'm doing this while I'm stitching. And I can only take so much of that. So I've been doing a line of beads here, a line of beads there, a line of beads here, just to save my neck and my shoulders. So, and I've been thinking, like, I've got a couple designs that are on the small side that I was like, oh, just put it in your smaller scroll frame and you'll stitch it in hand. I've become such a spoiled brat with using my stand frame that I don't want to stitch using my hand or holding the thing anymore. So I'm low-key thinking about getting this brand of frames. Comes with, or has the option, you can buy a like lap stand. I've thought of buying that, putting it, I have a desk over here, putting it here for smaller projects because I'm a spoiled brat and I don't want to hold stuff anymore. But for more, it's longevity, you know, like, because it's not fun sitting here and getting all stiff and everything. So, but I do think my beads are looking really cool. And if you can't tell, I've substituted a couple crystals. These were supposed to be the same purple. Also, like, I picked beads based on what I thought looked good. So this isn't like an exact, you know, representation of what the chart was supposed to look like. But there's basically 2 greens, this purple, and then there is some gold braid. Was it braid or was it even just yellow? I don't know. I was planning on using braid stitched around certain areas. And I don't know if I'm going to do that because I just don't know if it's going to show up with the beads. But I think it's looking cool. And this is 32 count. So yeah, it's a bit of a struggle getting them to fit, but I'm making it work. You know, like, y'all are going on there. Here's what the back looks like, in case you're curious. So yeah, I'm liking that. I'm excited to get it finished. It will be a finish soon. Hopefully by next video, but you know how that goes. Okay, let's see. Before I get to her, let me discuss the fair. So you guys know I posted pictures that I had won some stuff at the fair. Yay, my ribbons are right here. So disclaimer, my fair is very small and it has a very, very small cross stitch showing for the most part. I entered my Mermaid of the Pearls in the beaded category. The cross stitch categories they have, it's the total category is needlework, and they have counted cross stitch beaded any size, counted cross stitch under 5 inches by the longest edge, counted cross stitch 5 to 12, which is where I entered my unicorn, counted cross stitch, there's another size, and then there's like 16 and above. So I entered my Mermaid of the Pearls in the beaded category. It was the only item in the beaded category, so I won first place by default, basically. But I also got best to show, so she won for the entire needlework category, so that felt pretty good. But I didn't want to be like, yeah, you guys won first place, and not mention that it was the only one in the category. But my unicorn, She was in the under 12 inches category. I think it was like, maybe it was 5 to 12, I can't remember. But she was in there, and there were enough entries that there was a first, second, and third place, and she got first. So that's cool. Now, I've shown you guys this before, and I keep intending on removing this glass because she's so dark, as you can see, like there's a glare issue, which that's an issue in real life too. But when I decided I was going to enter her in the fair, I decided to leave the glass in because I figured it would keep her safe, because, you know, basically you're turning your finished pieces over to these fair representatives who are and at least with my fair, the entries for the cross stitching are in a glass cabinet laying flat. So like people can't touch them or anything. They're locked up while they're on display, but you never know during the process where they're being put in and when they're being pulled out, you know. So I decided to leave the glass in there, but I do intend on pulling this glass out. But here's what she looks like. And I added some beaded, you can kind of see them there, and there, and there's some down in here too. But I added some beads and some metallics to make it look like fireflies, because I thought that would be cool. Because my one regret on stitching this is I wish I stitched her on a black metallic or opalescent fabric, because sparkles is life. I did put some blending filament in the hair, in the mane, and the horn, which you can't really see because of the glass and the glare. But yeah, she took a first place ribbon in her category, so I was very happy about that. And then I thought I'll show you Mermaid of the Pearls too. It's gonna be hard though, because she's a big girl. So she got first place in the beaded category, which she was the only thing in, but she took best of show for the entire needlework category. So I was very pleased with that. So here she is, and she's so hard to show. Let me actually turn her. It'd be cool if she was framed like this, but you can see she's got a shit ton of beads. She's very sparkly, and I love her. My only regret is I didn't stitch her skin over one, but I started this a long time ago. And I considered, when I picked her back up again and finally finished her, I considered picking her skin out and restitching it, but I had already stitched some of the metallics in here in the seafoam, and I had stuck it under the threads for the skin. So if I picked out the skin, chances are that was going to come out too. So I didn't want to deal with all that, so I just left her as is. But yeah, I'm very happy to have her home. It was a little nerve-wracking having her in the fair, because years ago on the Teresa Wensler bulletin board, there was, which I did consider, your fair is small. Why don't you enter something in the state fair, and it's more likely to have like a more fierce competition. That way if you win something, it's going to feel more like, yeah, I won, you know, not just you were the only one that entered, so you won. But I am a little hesitant about that, because on the Teresa Wensler bulletin board, there was a fellow stitcher who entered her Mirabilia Sleeping Beauty in my state fair, and it got stolen. So I'm a little gun shy at the thought of that, just because it's the exact state fair that it got stolen from. And at least with my small town fair, like I said, these were in a locked glass case. And I know at some fairs they're like hung to where someone could just whoop, you know, I'll take that with me. So it was a big comfort for me that she's locked away. And if I enter her in the state fair is about an hour away from me. That means I have to drive there to drop it off, and then I gotta drive back to pick it up. Whereas, you know, with my local fair, like, we can just run over. It's like 10 minutes from my house, no big deal, you know. So, but I'm gonna put her back in her, where I'd say rightful place, but it's just where I like sticking her. And I don't know, she looks good right here. I should hang her on the wall, but I have anxiety about her falling off the wall, because my walls are very old and they're plaster, so you kind of have to do special things when you hang them. But yeah, we'll put her back there. And the next time you guys see her, there won't be an orchid in front of her. Okay, so now it is time for my current project, which is Mirabilia's Gypsy Queen, but I call her Tribal Queen because Gypsy's a racial slur. Laura, you say that every time. I know, and I will say it every time because I see it as a teaching moment. Take what you will from it. Not knocking anyone that chooses to still call her Gypsy Queen. And I understand, because if someone wants to look for this design, I gotta tell them what the name of it is. But I also like to use it to educate. That's a racial slur. So I tend to call her Tribal Queen because she reminds me of tribal belly dance garb. So, and seeing as I'm kind of dipping back into belly dance, and I've been very unfaithful with my stitching in that I want to stitch a little bit and then I'm craving another project. So I switched to that. So I feel like I was getting nothing done. So I thought, pick a piece that when you start stitching on it, it possesses you. And this girl is one of them. Like, her skirt is so fun. So here's where I am. I decided to start working on this thing here. So I got into that for a little while, but then some of the colors I was using in this were in this area, and I thought, well, why don't I just finish that color? So I did. And then I'm like, oh, I want to stitch this thing. It's got a lot of metallics in it. So I did. And then I dove back into this orange here. So my plan right now is to finish the orange, which who knows if that's going to happen. I'm also tempted to go back into this checkered pattern, which is a lot of fun. And it's made me want to pick up some Mirabilia designs that have more of those like geometric fabric patterns, because at first when I looked at it, I thought, oh, it looks like a pain in the ass. But as I've been stitching it, it's been a lot of fun. So, because the counting isn't very hard. And I don't know, it looks good. I love the colors in this one. And I was getting a false sense of progress, which she is not too far from done. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is the bottom of her dress, you know, like after I finish this bit here that you can see that's open and this thing over here, I just need to bead. But her skin is not started because I'm going to do it over one. I'm also planning on darkening her skin tone too a little bit, just because the Roma people were a little bit darker, just a little. So, and I don't know, I think it would look good with like these rich colors of her gown. I just don't want her to be too pale. So trying to diversify a bit. So yeah, here she is, loving her. This fabric never looks like it should. Oh gosh. Try and think what I can do to make it show up better. Like, I don't know, let me see if I can put this up next to it. Yeah, that doesn't help at all. I don't know, like it always looks gray, but it's very much like a tanzanite purple. Like it looks really blue there. Yeah, it's just not looking right, but it's definitely like a purple. But it never looks purple. So I guess I'll show you my newest Clay by Ken's. I have definitely been on a Clay by Ken diet. I usually would buy something every week, but now it's gotten to where maybe once a month, and I'll only buy it if it's something that I really am lacking in my collection, if it's really unique and oh my god, like the scarab. I have a perfect project to stitch that with. So I've really slowed down. Let me find something to put them on so y'all can see it. All right. So I think I have two to show you. And one of them is a tide pool dragon. I cannot resist the tide pool dragons. And these ones, she did this really cool thing with some resin to make it like extra tide pooly. You'll see when I show it to you. And then she did these bee wasps, and their eyes are super cute. And I also don't have very many yellow in my designs or in my collection. So here's the tide pool. As you can see, like she made like an actual like tide pool out of resin, which is cool. And this dude, he's cool because he's got like a mohawk. Look at that. His like little head thing, he sticks up. I don't have any others that do that, so I thought that was cool. And the colors are really fun. And I love all the splishy splashes, and y'all know I'm crazy for sea life, so I love the tide pools. I think I have this is my 5th tide pool variety, and they're all different. Like I've got a blue one, a red one with an octopus tail. I have a rusty, I call my Red Sea Egyptian tide pool dragon, and then there's a green and blue and orange one, but this one's orange and like blues and purples. And then we got my little yellow jacket wasp. Look at his eyeballs, aren't those cool? I just thought those were so cool, and the wings are really cool, and he's got a little stinger. But he's super cute, and he's real cute when he sits on my project and looks at me. And I love kind of the textures she's put in it. I know that's hard for you guys to see, but it's almost got like a hairy body looking texture. So, but yeah, haven't bought, I think the tide pool was the last one I got. So I haven't gotten anything recently. A lot of what she's put out, I've either had something very similar. She did put out these really cool like night sky dragons, but the color palette, like I have a lot similar, and I like the closest design I have to night sky would probably be Fairy Moon, and I have a like lunar dragon that I grabbed for that one, so I don't really need another one. I mean, they were cool. I liked them. I was tempted, but wasn't different enough. And I've been on a Clay by Kim diet because I have like a million. You can kind of see them over here in their little shadow box house. Speaking of which, let me show you what I did. This one I haven't hung up yet. I kind of made shadow box houses for my needle minders. By needle minders, I mean Clay by Kim's. And my needle cases, because she also makes these tins that are really cool. Let me show you one of them. Let me see. Which one should I show you? I'm going to show you this one just because I think it's really pretty. It matches one of the dragons that I have. But it's super cool. And it slides open. It's got a magnet in there so you can put needles in it. I tend to put more beads in mine when I use it. Like especially if I'm playing with like changing out crystals on a design and I pull out a bunch of different crystals to put on that design, I'll put them in these like little tins, which is nice. But let me just show you real quick what I did, and then I'll explain what I did. So this is a shadow box. And these are my non-dragon needle minders. So like flowers, mermaid tails, cauldrons, snowflakes, flowers, shells, things like that. And then like my little tins. Not as many of the tins. She doesn't make as many of them. They're harder to get that way. So what I did for this, I bought a shadow box, and then I bought one of those cheap little, like, kind of this thing over here, one of them dry erase boards. And I ripped the metal off of it, and I glued it to the back of the shadow box, and then I covered it with fabric to make it pretty. And then, by doing that with the metal, then all my needle minders, and these, since they have magnets in them too. Sorry, you can't see that. Yeah, these have magnets in them, so they stick as well. Everything just kind of sticks there. And I can see them, but they're safe from dust and the beak of my bird, who's very curious about some things. So, yeah. And I love looking at them because they're little works of art. So it's like a little sculpture house, and I'm going to hang it over here eventually. I just haven't gotten to doing it yet because I want to make sure it's super sturdy, because I do not want to hang this on the wall and then it fall to the ground. That would be devastating. So I just haven't hung this one up yet. That one's actually not hung either. It just sits on the desk, and I'm kind of lazy and I'm leaving it like that for now. So, but I thought that was a cool way to store my needle minders. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with that right now. Okay, so I think that is it for today. I talked longer than I thought it was going to. I didn't think I'd make it close to an hour, but here we are. I have not talked to you guys for a while, but let's go into plans and goals, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so plans. I've got things I want to start, and then there's things that I'm feeling you need to finish, so because I would like to finish a mermaid before the end of this year, since it's not quite mid-September. I think it's totally doable. I could probably finish her behind me, realistically. But mermaid, I want to finish a mermaid. Which mermaid is the question? So I think the one that I'm closest to is Renaissance Mermaid by Mirabilia, but I'm also quite close on, probably equally, probably not quite as close on Bella Filipina's Made in a Tubataha. I would kind of like to finish a non-Mirabilia mermaid because, you know, most of my mermaid finishes are Mirabilia. But am I going to be greedy and try and finish both of them? That could be fun. I'd also like to finish Chatelaine, but I feel like that's unrealistic because my closest Chatelaine to a finish is Misty Morning Vineyard, and I'm not even halfway done with it. So, though I will say when I finished Taj Mahal, I was like at the same stage, and that year when I picked it up, I just couldn't put it down, and I ended up finishing it. Oh, speaking of Taj Mahal, I told you guys I sent that off to Jill Rensel. It's still there. It's still getting framed. It takes a while there. You ship it there, they let you know they have it, it takes a little bit of time, and then they contact you and they go, did a back and forth on matte color and do you want glass, what type of glass, all that fun stuff. Once you get that narrowed down, then it goes into another line behind other projects. So I haven't heard back yet from that, but I am very excited about getting that one back. I did want to enter that in the fair, but I was kind of torn on which category do I enter that in, you know, like, I mean, I could put it in the above 16 inches one, but there's also an other category which people would put like needle point type stuff, some kind of tatted lace stuff, I think. But if I put it in the other category, I have to declare it. What would I call it? A sampler? Combination? Like, I don't know. Because it's got beading. It's got cross stitch, it's got specialty stitches, or what you might consider needlepoint, you know, type stuff. It's got a lot of stuff, so what would I even call it? But, yeah, I didn't get it back in time, so it didn't get entered. And there's actually a bunch of stuff that I wish I'd have entered, but at the same time, I knew that I don't want to say that the competition wasn't going to be too stiff. It was more like there wasn't going to be a lot to compete with. But I also thought, like, the greedy part of me was like, oh, try and enter something in every category. Maybe you'll win something in every category. But then, like, my inner conscience was like, what if some young girl stitches her first cross stitch and enters it and wants to get a ribbon, and then you come in here and, you know, take her ribbon from her. But which that's valid, but at the same time, because there's not a lot being entered, I kind of want to enter more to represent. Like, maybe if I enter some cool stuff in there, when people are walking through and see it, you know, they might be like, oh, I didn't know you could cross stitch things like that. I'm going to start cross stitching, you know, like maybe it'll revitalize, you know, at the end of the day, I want to represent, you know, for the craft, you know, because it's not doing the best, shall we say, you know, so I would kind of like to enter some really cool stuff, you know, that might spurn people to try. But at the same time, I also don't want to like jump in and try to hog all the ribbons either, you know, so that might be, I don't know, a little egotistical of me thinking I'm gonna get a ribbon and everything, you know, but maybe I'll just not enter anything in the smallest category. How about that? That might be safe. Because I'm trying to like not enter something in every category because I don't want to be greedy, but you know, at the same time, I think you guys know what I'm saying. I'm rambling on, but anyways, I think you guys know what I'm saying. So there's my goals. I want to knock out a mermaid for sure, maybe two. Greedy me. I want to start Halloween Kitty very soon. Like, I think once I get sick of her, if I don't throw it on the bars, I'm probably throwing a chatelaine on the bars, because I've been craving some specialty stitches because they're kind of monotonous, especially at the point that I'm at on a couple of my chatelaines. I've got cross-stitching outlining where the specialty stitches were going, so that will be very monotonous because, oh, I can just fill in the blanks and not look at any charts, and that's kind of the kind of stitching I'm craving at the moment. So anyways, there's that. Hope you all enjoyed it. Missed you guys. Have a happy spooky season. I think I will see you guys before Halloween, hopefully. You know, I will try. And hopefully I have some good progress, or maybe even a happy dance, you know, at the very least, the Luna Moth, you know, I would love to get that finished. So, but anyways, missed you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful fall. It's not quite officially fall yet, but you know, it's feeling like it here in Ohio at least. So anyways, happy stitching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.